StarSeries Season 6. It's bright and early here in Kiev, and I am Trey Saranthus, desk host here on the desk, the analytical desk at that. And sometimes we analyze things, but sometimes we just straight meme out of our freaking minds. We do have Duncan Shields. We do have Jacob Beneke. Guys, good morning. Welcome back to another day of StarSeries. Yeah, it's got a good ring to it.
I go with both. That's fine.
Yeah, nice. My bad, dude. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, so we had quite a few days of matches up to this point, and in fact, we'll be sending some teams home now. Let's kind of reel in the topic because we do have just a few extra seconds here. So, perhaps where do you want to start discussion today? By the way, disclaimer and asterisk: Duncan is on G Fuel today, so really, truly, anything can happen.
All right.
What do you got this morning, Jacob?
I mean, looking at the results, as you can see on the screen right now, quite surprising that we both have Big, Sprout, compLexity, and Hellraisers down there. Maybe not as surprising Sprout is down there with a 0-2, but the way they've played so far has actually been good. Picking up a close game against Mousesports in the first round, and now finding themselves 0-2 is a little bit hard done by them. Whereas for teams like Hellraisers, compLexity, and Big, 3 of the teams that made the top 8 at the major now finding themselves 0-2 here at a tournament where there's a lot of tier 2 and tier 3 teams. That can't be too satisfying.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird look when you see like the likes of compLexity and Big down at the bottom, right? Because if you were those two teams coming into this tournament where there are no Astralis, Liquids, you want to make this stand and say, hey, you know what, this wasn't a fluke when we ran through the major.
Sure.
But in fact, you do find yourself in the 0-2 column. Hellraisers as well.
Yeah, the thing is especially, like, this is one of the reasons why I'm so glad we've got the circuit of like the DreamHack Opens and these sorts of tournaments, because if you just saw compLexity do that run at the major and then they went to say like some super stacked, like I'm trying to think like Epicenter or something, you know, and it was like the top 8 teams in the world, and then they come 7th to 8th, you go, well, it's the top 8 teams, you know, that's fair enough. When you come to a tournament like this, like you're saying, there's no excuse. If you really are legit, then going 3-1, going 3-0, get out the group, win the tournament, shows you're legit, then we'll kind of set up the match where we see you against the top teams. Because obviously, yeah, one of compLexity and Big is going home. One of them is going to be 0-3, completely heartbroken.
Some say you have to put up or shut up is what they do say. Talk to me about some of the other teams that stick out, maybe on the top end of this one, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, quite surprising Frexters, my Danish comrades, have been able to do so well. I feel it's a team that's been on the rise for quite some time, but they're constantly making results at LAN events, and I think that's the most surprising part of this, because online they're doing good, online they're playing fine. It's a very young team, a very inexperienced team, but every single time they go to a LAN event, these tier 2, tier 3 LAN events, they're actually making results and making upsets every single time. So it's a team that constantly is on the rise. Quite surprising to see them 2-0. As for North, you know, they had a hard-done game yesterday by NRG, one of the favorites to win the entire tournament, according to me, so it may not be as surprising to see them at 1-1. So I feel so far the only big disappointment we've had is basically Big, compLexity, and Hellraisers.
Yes. Yeah.
What about the likes of North, perhaps?
The thing about the North one is I don't mind that they're 1-1, and in fact today they've been drawn against Gambit because they've actually had some pretty tough teams. They haven't got any easy ones. Like the thing is, when you look at compLexity and Big, they also can't complain because they haven't even faced the big names here. You know, they've actually just been playing, in theory, the teams that were supposed to be gimmies, whereas North's got a new roster. Clearly, you just look at the organization, they're trying to have a long-term approach. You know, they're not just putting together like a mixed team that's going to win the event right now. So I think they've generally looked good in both the games. They had a nice comeback yesterday. Maybe just don't have the routine down on Inferno. So I still think they're like a sleeper in this format where you've got a lot of lives to get it together, get to the playoffs, and then once you get the best of 3, then I'm interested to see what they're capable of.
Well, in fact, we can take a look at some of the matches today. We do have a schedule that can come up your way. But, you know, within our first matchups, at least Big compLexity will be centering our conversation around in the beginning. However, let's go ahead and dive into some of the later games. I know that we won't be here for those, so perhaps we can kind of spitball and say, hey, this looks good, this doesn't look good.
I think Mousesports against ENCE is going to be a super interesting game. I'm looking forward to see what ENCE can do against the top team. Also looking forward to see what Mousesports can do after the shaky start the first day. It may have been one of those scenarios where you come into a tournament, you know you're the big favorite, you get off to a good start in the first half as well, and all of a sudden it just fell flat against Sprout. But in that regard, I think ENCE have a decent chance of actually making an upset against Mousesports. I don't think Mousesports is as strong as you want them to be right now. I don't think necessarily that New York was a fluke by any means, but I think Mousesports is one of those teams that can give up a map against a team like ENCE, who is playing a very structured brand of Counter-Strike.
Obviously, Renegades versus Tyloo. I always wondered what would happen if an Australian team played a Chinese team in a match on LAN. Like, you never really get to know, you know. There's not any sort of a minor system out there where they could meet every single final and double a limb and meet in the final and the winner's bracket. Obviously, we've seen this game a million times, but the key thing for me is we know who Tyloo is. They're a pretty solid team. They've got good upset potential. Already done it at this tournament. That's why they're 2-0. But then you look at the Renegades squad. totally new squad. Like they've really changed the complex in that team, and they're not really in the era, I think, where they've got like the big firepower, because they're going to this weird approach where Az is the in-game leader. Guy was one of the stars, you know.
Yeah, I mean, then bringing back Saad, okay, that's one step. You bring in Liaz and Gratisfaction, and I guess you do have an entirely new team at that point. And Chad actually bet against them yesterday, guessed against them, I should
He
say.
never did believe in Australian Counter-Strike.
Yeah, and that's
But
why
for good reason when he was playing.
Rightfully so. He did get out of there, didn't he? Anyway, let's go ahead and start talking about our matchup here. The first one, bright and early. It is a little early. In case you're just tuning in, I hope you do have some cereal. You're joining us. It is Big versus compLexity. And for what it's worth, a big clan that we did see get toppled yesterday, 16-2. Where do we even start with Big at this point? We do know that they had this sort of run through the major. We could talk about Smooya, all the memes that come outside of that. But where is Big Clan in this tournament?
I want to get Pimp's thoughts on this as an ex-pro player, potentially a future pro player. We'll see how this goes.
Never know.
One of the things I said about this Big Clan when they formed the lineup and they even had that great run in Cologne, which was epic, you know, they were obviously winning legit best-of-3 series over top teams, is like, that was like, to me, okay, cool, that's like the top end. Kind of like you were saying about Mousespot. It's not like a pure fluke. It's like, that's their best day if everything goes well. But when I looked at that team, I was like, I can't really buy the firepower in the team because, like, okay, I think Tabson is a legit very good player. Next, everyone knows the problems that he has. He can be very up and down. Smooya is still very inexperienced. He has games like he had one in this tournament where he was doing pretty bad when he was against the Fragsters. Tizian's brand new, and God be, I know he had a pretty good tournament at the major, but he can definitely be a low fragging player. So I believe in the tactical side. I like the map pool and stuff, but I don't really know if you've got like the firepower to go up against the teams they want to believe they can be up against.
No, I definitely agree. I think there's too much inconsistency surrounding the lineup, as you said. Tabson has consistently been the only good player, whereas for Nex, he's, as you said, up and down all the time. Smooya is young, as you said as well, inexperienced, so he's a little bit up and down as well. It takes time to get that confidence, get that rhythm where you can perform at all times. Whereas for a guy like Tizian and God B, those were the two players that were playing above average, you know, during the major.
Sure.
Those were the two players who were actually enabling and being the catalyst behind this big run, I would say, at the major. Because God B was putting up some insane stats that we haven't seen before, and that was like the outlier. That was maybe the fluke in that sense. So I do feel the Big is definitely, as you said, New York, or not New York, the Cologne result and the major result. That's the top of this team. Like, they're not going to get any better with this lineup, I don't believe, and that's the problem for them. If they can't go into a tournament like this and avoid going 0-3 against teams like they've played so far, it's going to be one of those scenarios where they can't be happy with their own performance, and they have to start look for other possible roster changes.
And that's obviously the part people don't want to hear, because if you have a Cinderella run, people want to see you play like 5 tournaments. Let's see if you can do it again.
Exactly.
People know behind the scenes, because it's been mentioned many, many times on Reddit by people. There have been question marks, supposedly even before the Cologne run, of whether Smooya would still be in this team. Some people thought it was going to be a failed experiment. He'd be out of the team. So I know why you keep it going. If you get a run at the major, top 8, if you get the finals, you got to give it a try. But I kind of feel like if you look at the mentality of the player and the team, I think there's a reason why there's a cultural clash there. You know, God B wants people who are just going to do what they're told, play exactly a certain way. I'm not sure that's Smooya.
It's kind of like when you find a up-and-coming hip-hop artist or an indie band, and you get behind them, and you hope that, like, maybe perhaps these guys will make it big, but then they really kind of fall flat, and they don't really sell records. They want to be that one behind them, you know. They want to be the first one in line saying, hey, you know, I knew about these guys, Big Clan. How about compLexity, though? Because this is a team, or a name at least, that's been synonymous through Counter-Strike over the ages. Now they finally found a little bit of that footing through the major. But then we go here, and they're also facing elimination.
It was a much bigger surprise that compLexity did as well at the major than Big did, for example. Like, nobody expected anything from compLexity coming into the major. So in that regard, I'm not going to call them a fluke either. I will say they played some decent Counter-Strike. They played some good Counter-Strike, and were able to beat a bunch of decent teams during the major. And they were playing better than the average teams at the major. So kudos for that. That said, though, I think we're seeing the real potential of compLexity throughout this tournament and the coming tournaments. I don't believe that's a team that's by any means going to be a consistent top 15, top 10 team in the world. They have a place within the NA ranks, which is this tier 2, tier 3 place where they're going to be the 5th, 6th best NA team, and they're not going to get any better, especially when you look at the lineup as well. It's not like the players in itself are too terrifying.
Sure.
You have Shazam, who has been a decent player, but again, inconsistency is the word surrounding him. Stanislaw as well, a little bit inconsistent with his performance, and the rest of the guys are still very young and still very inexperienced. So they need a type of player who can carry this team and be consistent at driving force for them, and they don't have that right now, which is why the result is going to be inconsistent for the future as well.
Well, we can see here at least the 20 maps in the last 3 months. Now, again, this doesn't really give us a whole lot of specification in terms of the parameters of, you know, who they played, what event, where were they just coming from. But I guess we could talk a little bit about some of the map pools here, maybe not dive right into vetoes, but what have we seen in terms of strengths between these two teams?
Well, the thing is, like, to be fair to Big, they've only been to a few tournaments recently, and those were big tournaments. So a lot of those results are actually against good competition. And you saw right there, I know when you talk to them privately, they really do practice like a solid 5 to 6 maps. They think they can play them all, but that's the reason why you saw there. 4 games played on Nuke, 25% win rate, because they think they can play that. They've had a few vetoes where, bizarrely, they've let that happen against compLexity, funnily enough, at the major, and it hasn't looked good for them, quite frankly. So I think they're an example of a team where it's different between practicing a map and whether you can win it in official games. Like, it might not seem like it, but sometimes you can't make that leap.
There's definitely something to be said about that, because often when you do practice, you try out all your strats. Obviously, you try out your whole repertoire, and if you, especially these teams, considering that's something people don't necessarily know, that teams talk to each other as well outside of practice. So if compLexity know they're going to face Big at the major and stuff like that, they will probably go to one of the teams that they've practiced and ask, for a little bit of hints here and there. So you gotta save something, and you gotta be very cautious about how you practice and how good you want to be in practice, basically, and how much you save for the official games.
Or, quote unquote, if you're rogue, you could just record the scrims. It's a little bit easier, right?
That's a good idea, isn't it?
That's a weird one. That was a weird one to wake up to.
That's
today.
been happening for 2 years straight.
Yeah.
Right? It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
You turn on wireframes, you could see people how they move through the wall.
To be fair to the rogue players, they just wanted to see what it looked like from the POV of a good player playing Counter-Strike. Been a while.
Meanwhile, we can take a look at the head-to-head here, at least across Nuke and Inferno, where these teams squared off at the major. Inferno, no surprise for compLexity. At least we do know that they found quite a bit of success, and that was one of the key talking points within that team.
Yes.
But at least here, I think we even saw them ban it going up into today.
Yeah, the thing is, like, obviously they did really well on it at the major, but that is going to be the #1 map every team playing against you knows how you play on, studied. Like, if anything, the fact that you won it so many times means you're almost due to lose a whole bunch when you play against people. And you have to add in, everyone in the universe plays Inferno. You'd very rarely ever seen that get banned. So I think it was the other map, like I said, the Nuke one. I would hope that that's taught Big the lesson. That combined with their loss of this tournament on Nuke, I don't think that's a map they should be going towards. And when you consider it, this is the logic of Big that I thought was a bit dodgy, is when you've got 3 bans and you are a team that practices 5 to 6 maps, you should never be getting on a map you can't play. So that shows a little bit of cockiness, that you thought you could kind of like outplay them in the veto or trick them onto a one that they didn't want.
Well, you want to talk about cockiness? How about you Twitch users get out there and get activated inside of this Twitch chat using #Big or #compLexity to get your vote in, at least, on who you think is going to win. It's the one time they're going to let you spam it up. And with that, of course, what would you guys be spamming?
#UK go home, because one of the UK players is going home today. That's the thing, everyone loves to celebrate when they're both doing well, making the majors. Oh, the UK's back. Yeah, the UK's back, competing for who's going to go home. I would say, if you hire me, that's one too many UK people at the event already.
Well, we can talk about vetoes.
A lot of people would probably agree with that. It's pretty good sentiment,
I
right?
wouldn't disagree now.
Yeah,
I think you're onto something there. Let's talk about vetoes. Again, we're still in the best of ones here. We're not quite to the best of 3s yet. In fact, this is an elimination game, so the stakes are just that much higher. So where do we think it's going to end up, guys?
I don't know if compLexity has ever seen a team called Big, but I don't think we were going to be playing Overpass in this particular veto anyway. Like, I feel like you might have... I'd leave that till the end, personally, and make them ban it if I could. Inferno ban from Big. I actually find that a bit of a surprise. If I'm got B, I'd know Big can play Inferno. They're pretty good on it. Yep. I'd love to have all those demos to work with if you can potentially get it there. I have to say, I do feel like, I know compLexity lost on it, but Dust 2 is going to be a possibility. I feel like that's a map both
And I think that's
like.
going to be a map that Big will be happy about. I think compLexity were close winning against Gambit the other day on Dust 2. I think there was a little bit of a mistake, though, going into Dust 2 against Gambit. To me, it feels like both teams right now are in this period, after the major where they did well, they don't really know themselves too well anymore. They don't know where the map pool strengths are, because they didn't really get to show too much of it during the major. As you said, compLexity were basically banking that off Inferno pretty much only. So they didn't get to test the other maps in a competitive environment. That's what they do here at this tournament, and so far it's falling flat.
Probably a smart ban there on the side of compLexity. You never really want to go toe-to-toe with Gob on Dust 2. I don't know what it is over the years. He seemingly had it figured out in terms of a science that is Dust 2. But yes, we're going to Cache, not to be confused with Cache, because that's what
that doesn't exist.
Say.
So
yeah, it's not a real place, not a real thing. Don't even know where that came from. But we could compare the wins.
Much
and
like
losses
Australia,
here.
#Flat Earth.
Yeah, well, that one's... check out Duncan's YouTube where he's going
Google
over all that.
Google it.
The win rate here is astounding, but then again, it would appear as though Big don't really play this map very often.
They don't, like, obviously they haven't played it in competition, but to be fair, like, I definitely know it's a map that they've practiced on, that in theory they can play if they want to.
It's one of those maps that the other teams fear of playing Big against. That's why they are not allowed to play it, basically. So it's not necessarily that Big don't want to play it, it's just that they're not allowed in the veto process to actually get to pick it. Whereas you can see for compLexity, obviously some decent results. NRG beating them, I believe that's online, that's fine. G2 is a big one as well, but it's not the G2 we know and not the strength.
I think that
of
could
the
have
G2 we
actually
know.
been from the minor.
That must have been from the minor, yeah, exactly. So they have some decent results on it. It's not like neither teams are
Sure.
bad in cash, but it's just like Big are notoriously known, especially GOB for being one of the best cash
Absolutely.
strategians
Yeah.
in the entire world.
No, I mean, I would absolutely say that if you look at that one there, they've played that veto very well because they left it with Cash, a map that you can't have any info on that they like, and then Dust 2, a map that they definitely love, and therefore you don't want to play them on. So if I was doing the loot bet odds, I could actually see why people might think that Big was going to win this game, even though compLexity has the better kind of stats on this one. So let's see the forecast with our betting partner, LootBet. That's what happens when I just read them instead of just making stuff up. So as the day goes on, we'll figure them out. We'll get them better as we go.
Got to get a little bit, just
Yeah.
a little bit more G Fuel in there. and I
No, the
think-
thing is, I'm just kind of living up to my countrymen from the UK and just showing absolutely nothing at the beginning of this tournament.
You're not wrong.
So we'll see if we can turn it around today.
One UK player is going home today, and perhaps even Duncan if he doesn't
We'll
keep
see what
an
we can
eye
do.
around here.
You know, maybe get political later.
Yep, there we go. compLexity getting all squared in, trying to talk a little bit of game plan there on the sides.
They're going, hey, Rambo, you are like a legendary NA pro player. How do you do that? And he goes, sorry, you can't teach it. You just got to be it. He goes, oh, damn. Well, thanks, coach.
Thanks, coach. All right, hit the showers.
And then he goes, actually, says the name of that player, and he goes, call me Ye, please. And he goes, oh, bloody hell, another rapper with a diva alias.
Yeah, yay. That's true, except for a little bit of spelling difference.
The
But
thing is, as well, apparently, compLexity, because they did so well at the major, wanted to like re-sign Ye immediately for a couple of years, and he told them, like, you'll be throwing contracts at me. You know, Ye can't read. that's one for Trace Dex. I know he appreciates the
That's not
lyricism.
bad.
It wasn't bad.
that's pretty good, actually. I do appreciate a little bit of Kanye West. He does fly off the rails a little bit, but nonetheless, he's very talented.
when he's at his best, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, now
Love
that-
his Twitter.
now that he's, I guess, deleted social media again, it's
Why
tough.
has he
It's a
done
tough
that?
day to be a
Wonderful,
Kanye West fan, especially when he's promising albums that don't really get released.
Actually, I have a question. Pimp, when you were in NA, did you ever play against Ye or Android? Because weren't they around in like the sort of
Android, probably.
ESEA type
Android I was
scene?
playing against, and Ye was, as far as I remember, just doing FPL and doing pucks back then.
Were they any good?
He was decent, but not to the same level he is now. I think he's involved a lot, and I think the performance he put on at the major was kind of surprising to me, because I felt he was maybe the outlier of this team. He was the guy not doing so well, but from what I heard from practice and from the other teams playing in NA, he was probably the best performer both in practice and
Okay.
on the majors. So to me, Def was always the guy that I wanted to see do more, because he has a big mouth over there, and he
Of
was
course,
like,
yeah.
of course, you experienced it
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
He has a big mouth, and he has something to have it in, I feel, sometimes, especially in pucks and in FPL, but he just haven't been able to replicate that in official matches at all, and that's been the problem with compLexity and Renegade,
Yes.
for that matter, forever. In practice, they're one of the best teams in NA, but when it comes to official games, they just fall flat every single time. So there's some sort of mental block, I believe, and some sort of like disbelief in their own abilities when it actually matters the most, and there gotta be something mentally for them, because I never had to experience the same thing, and I don't understand how it can be that well playing in practice and then just fall flat every single time when it
Yes.
comes to official games. So that's something they're probably working on, and compLexity obviously had a good run of the major, so they have figured out a way to actually perform sometimes.
That actually makes a lot of sense, though, because people probably saw at the major there was an interview quote from Def that said he'd had an offer to join Cloud9, and obviously everyone was memeing like, haha, why the Cloud9 does recruit bad players. It's like, no, because in practice everyone was saying the guy was actually really good, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a weird phenomenon too. In fact, I think a lot of the lands where you go to and the teams that do best in the boot camps, they do best in the practice, just absolutely.
Yes.
I'm just gonna say it, shit the bed when it comes to the actual event. It never really kind of comes full circle. And why is that?
Unless
You
you're
know?
Virtus Pro, because when Virtus Pro is actually playing well in practice, what happens basically never these days, they're actually good. So Virtus Pro were one of those teams back in the days. If you know they're good in practice, you knew they're going to win the next event.
So basically we need a meme of Taz, like that famous meme, tapping the side of his head, like, if you never do well in practice, you can never do well in practice and then bad in a game. It's like him tapping his head on the side.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or if you just never practice, you can never.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a
Shout out
knife
to Rogue
round
again.
on the cusp here. We actually decide the sides with the knife round, as we have every other single day of the Swiss system. And today, can we see any clear favorites going into the knife round in terms of, well, winning the knife round? Where do you want to start? Yes, obviously, Jacob, I get what you're laughing at.
I mean, I don't really mind it. Like matches like
Doesn't
this
really
where
matter
it's-
for this map,
No,
surely.
it doesn't. You just want to get into the game, and you just want to focus on whatever side you start on. I think a lot of teams are downplaying the knife these days, and normally the way we did it was just, we start where we start, and whenever we figure out what side we're starting on, we take a little meeting, we just replicate what we just talked about before the game, be ready for this, be ready for that. We probably have a game plan for the first 3 or 4 rounds, and then we take it from there. So you don't really want to plan anything out from a knife round that is as random as it gets in this game.
Kakafu versus Rambo.
Yes.
Square
They
off.
are missing their coach, right? Big have not their coach with them.
No,
Legia.
technically Kakafufu is their coach. Like
Okay.
Legia is listed as like also coach or something like that, something
Alright.
weird like. So technically they're both coaches. And
So
as
he's
far as I
listed-
know, the other guy's supposed to be the real coach. I mean,
Okay.
to be fair, I saw them and I said, God B's a legend, but whoever coaches this team is absolute caca. And they said, yeah, Kakafufu. I go, all right, is there a player called that? Dude? Wasn't aware. My bad.
Well, that's fair.
I mean, they do have Legia to do like cartwheels in front of them and stuff if they
Yes,
need that.
his job mainly is hype man, but the problem is he's too good at it, so he hypes himself up in his own brain and then attempts to hype them up. And so as a result, they start believing they're like top 4 team in the world, got every map in the pool. And sometimes in life, you get humbled. That's the thing, you know. I had that happen myself. There was an event called Katowice back in the day, you know. But, you know, we've all learned since then. We can move on.
Yes,
Maybe they can come back just as gloriously as I have. Look where I'm at now. Started at the bottom, Katowice, and now we're here. Kiev. Well, that one doesn't really work. I can't lie, but you know.
Oh,
And
sit
as a
down.
metaphor, it was good.
Sit
I buy
down,
it.
be humble. I know the other song, but yeah. Anyway, sit down, be humble, Duncan. That is the name of the game. Just waiting on the knife round. I'm not really sure what the holdup is here, but what do you guys want to talk about?
Let's talk players. Duncan,
Yeah.
how do you feel about Tapson? Like a lot of people say he's a star player. I don't really buy that. I think he's
No.
good, right? But he hasn't been consistently showing up in the big games.
Yeah, here's the thing for me is like, even in the context of being like the best player in the team, he isn't like the superstar player who's going to carry the game. For me, he's actually kind of reminiscent of what like Electronic does in Na'Vi. It's like it's the stability is what you want. You want like an all-round player who does his job, plays his spots, has some skills so he can frag out as well. But like he's not the guy, for example, where if you lose in the game, he's going to take over the whole game, win like every clutch, like entry. No, he's not that kind of guy. That's why I actually thought it was kind of cool when I saw in Cologne. He was even like the secondary AWPer, you know, because he's a very stable player. It's probably the biggest compliment I can give. He actually seems very legit in that sense.
I definitely agree.
Knife round has concluded. As climactic as that was, would it be better if we just coin tossed, like football, for example?
It's always fun to
Be
get a
quicker.
knife round going. It'll be quicker, yeah. You want to stab people, Trace. Feels good.
But then probably Rogue would just show up with like double-headed coin. I think heads is what I'm going for. So, you know, you can never win in that scenario.
Heads I win, tails you lose.
Yeah.
That's the best one to play.
You know what would make knife round more fun? If you could actually headshot with a knife as you could in 1.6,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Right now it's just boring. You
Add a
can't do
bit more
anything.
skill.
Yeah.
Maybe
exactly.
throwing knives.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, might as well. At this point, we might as well elevate to that status. Either way, guys, it is time for predictions. Time to put your money on one of these UK players going home and one of these players advancing. So we're going to start with you, Jacob. Who do you got winning this one?
I think Big is going to win this one mainly due to the fact that we're playing cash. I think they're too good on the map, and I think they have the structure needed, and I think Tapson is going to go off. It's one of those puggy maps where it allows for individuals to shine, and if they want to shine, Smoothie and Tapson have to do it now, unless they're just, not good enough.
Yeah, I have similar thoughts actually. Like, first of all, I definitely agree with him. Like, the win record doesn't tell you anything about this. I know that the big guys play this and they like this map actually. So I expect like their routine, actual practice will bear out. Complexity. Like, the problem is I can't even say they've got the firepower advantage. I've only really seen them have one tournament where they actually went ham on it. So I think overall I'm going to have to go with Big for this one.
Sorry, I was just fighting a sneeze. You can never really win with those. Kind of like if you're betting on an 0-2 team, you can never really know which way to go. I'm going to say complexity just for old time's sake. Just one time, run it back. Why not? Whatever, guys.
That's
Deal
fine.
with it. Yes, that's right. It's time to get to the game. Finally, we will be jumping into a little bit of cash. And to do that will be Tom and Hugo Boss. Take it away, guys.
That's actually kind of nice. I was expecting something much worse coming out of that one.
We are early in the morning, so you know we haven't had our shot of coffee yet. You know, everyone's still a little bit relaxed. The
Yeah.
horse tranquilizers haven't kicked in, so yeah.
If anything, I think it'd be
I know
more
they have
relaxed.
kicked in. I don't know where I'm going. With
I think you'd
this
be out if you
Yeah.
if that was the case. But yeah, we are going into the sort of well, it's basically been tainted as the battle of the Brits, even though there's only one per team. So
one. It's 100% of the British pro scene in one game right here.
that is true. One of them goes through.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Like, we don't lose
through. I mean, one of them
Well,
goes
one
home.
goes
One of them stays in the
through
tournament.
to being the next day.
Well, yeah, but
the
again,
next day.
the problem is being 0-2. It's like, the pressure is never up, right? Like,
The
you win this
comeback is
game,
on.
whoever wins this game still has to go, I still have to win 2 more games without losing one. It's so cool, though, because this is the rematch of the major. Again, thinking back, they played twice there, one in the qualifier and one in the actual major. And at that point, they were both 2-0, right? They were 1 win away from getting to that legend spot, getting to that next stage. And complexity obviously picked up that win. It was Nuke. It was quite a dominant fashion as well. So that's why we saw this that go so early on in the veto. And now, wow, how the mighty have fallen. We flipped it on its head, and we're now in the 0-2 spot. So definitely not where these teams want to be, but someone has to go home, Tom. Who's it going to be?
I genuinely have no idea. Because
Yeah.
it's like yesterday when I was sort of like looking at Big versus Optic, I was like, that should be a really close game. I was looking at like both of these teams sort of in similar states where they seem to have the potential to do well, but neither of them have really hit it. And then Big didn't even, they may as well have not even joined the server. Like
Wait, they joined the server?
Yeah, they got absolutely destroyed. Smooya didn't show up. Tabson didn't show up.
God, B did.
Tabson started to get into it a little bit, but so late that it made absolutely no difference. And it was just one of those games. Like Tizian as well, absolutely nothing. And then top of the board, as you said, it was God B with like 10 or 11 kills. And it's sort of like one of those things where you're just looking at it like, well, okay, I want to sit there and go, yeah, no, I think Big, they're going to win this one. I think they've got the better team overall. I think they've had like other things other than the major, which have given me some hope that this roster can do something. And then you watch them play yesterday and you go, yeah, I genuinely don't know anymore. And I wonder if it was just, okay, maybe they had a bad day at the office, maybe things didn't go their way. Obviously, they're probably still fairly tilted against Fragsters, who I have to say Fragsters have really impressed this event. So you can give them a little bit of slack there, losing in overtime. Obviously, they're in our winners game today. So I don't know. Like, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, when you see like players like tweeting, well, mainly one player in particular tweeting things like, oh, I just want to go home, esports is rubbish, like all of this sort of stuff, and you're just like, well, is this a meme, or are you genuinely at the point where you just want to quit? And if that's the case, then surely there's no way you're going to win.
That's the thing. If you're making those tweets and it's like, oh, it's a meme, you know, we're winning all our games, it's like, that's fine, but you can't make that tweet and then get 16-2 by Optic and then like everyone to think it's a meme, right? At that point, I'm sitting there going, okay, now at what point do we start regarding this as serious? And yeah, it is terrifying, especially when, you know, both times these teams have played, again, both times at the Face It Major, compLexity have won. So while Big, yeah, on paper, they've had higher highs. They have on paper the better team. Head to head, maybe compLexity of the kryptonite.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. And it's funny to me as well because there's players in the past where you've seen them make like ridiculously like cocky tweets and they've been brought down to earth and they sort of go a different way with it. Like even take Config for example. Before this event, he was tweeting about how he believed he was in a slump, and you see him in all of the interviews. Like he was fairly like passive. He wasn't like his normal self. Like it was just like, okay, yeah, we want to come out. And it seems like he's been humbled. And then like Smooya is just not the case. It's like he's had his highs and he gets to the lows, and it's like, okay, I'm done. And it's like, I hope that it is just him maybe playing social media. Like, hey, that's a great way to get a hell of a lot of retweets and get yourself high up on Reddit.
Wait, Tom, are you saying that people on Twitter aren't necessarily their real self?
Yeah, sometimes they bait. Like I'm not naming anyone in particular, Thorin, but sometimes they try. Sometimes people play with the fans, but no, obviously. I hope it's that.
Yeah.
Like I actually hope that he's just like screwing with people, trying to get himself up on Reddit, and in the grand scale of things, he's like, yeah, no, actually, I'm pretty chill. I'm ready to come in today. That's what I'm hoping.
It's probably a middle ground more than anything. Like, that's a scary thing. I think with Big especially, it's like their biggest enemy is themselves. They can get into their heads. They can definitely tilt. Let's not pretend that's not a factor. Whereas I think with compLexity, that's less likely to happen. They should be confident coming into this game. It's looking pretty even, and we're heading into it cash, a map that Big do not play officially. Their only game being a close loss against Hellraisers, who are a strong cash team.
Sorry,
yeah.
I don't interrupt you, but they got very aggressive over on this pistol round, and you normally see this over towards B. This is hugely aggressive.
No.
Is he going to expect the second player? No, he's not. So a trade already for the CT side. They're going to try and execute here, but there's still two players already and waiting on the side itself. Nice shot from Ye. Will be able to clear out one. Nex is there to trade, but Shazam does the same, and Tizian left alone on the site will fall. It was pretty much an A stack coming out from Big in this pistol run, but it doesn't matter. compLexity have ripped it apart.
Oh, even shots from the smoke. You're going to hear those tags, and Shazam just getting rid of him. Oh, that's not how you want to start, Tom. That's definitely not good, the fact that it was Smooya going down through a smoke. Let's hope that doesn't get in his head here as we see the compLexity boys and North Americans, mainly so, pick up that first round. And yeah, just to finish off that point, again, this was kind of highlighted on the desk. This is not a map that Big play. More in the sense of not that they can't play, but other teams don't allow them to. Again, if we think Germans, what map do we think of? Cash. And you know, we've had iterations of players, especially like Tizian, for example, playing in like old German teams before Big, that were really good at cash. So yeah, that's definitely a positive to remember. But either way, compLexity starting things off strong. And they've got 4 SMGs in their second round as well. Luckily for them, Big actually haven't forced into this pistol.
Also, Stan, that's basically like him having like a high-firing AWP.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was absolutely ridiculous with this UMP yesterday. They didn't manage to take the game home, but at the same time, it's like, I think he's been playing excellently well. And yeah, I'm not really too worried when he has a UMP in his hand over anything else.
Well, especially not against armorless pistols here. Big.
Yeah, that's true.
They are under-equipped, Tom. We've just got this one AK holding outside the B bomb site. Surprisingly enough, that AK being in the hands of the AWPer, the player who should be saving money or at least trying to make some of the SMGs, but that can be dropped over. Big going for the boost, and that's to spot down middle from Tabson. Nice angle. I've not seen this one really used before. Usually if you boost in this position, you'll be watching A main. This could definitely catch someone off guard. The problem is, because it takes 2 players, you have no information on A main. Right now, compLexity are about to split out onto this site.
Yeah, Stan with a little bit of the distraction as the remaining players push right through, and yay, with a quick double with that trusty MP5, it is just going to be 3 players remaining for the CTs, and well, they don't really have much hope in this round, really. They probably just want to don't give all that SMG money over to their opponents already. Stan doing a lot of damage, Godby going to peek out, and well, Next decides not to. I thought that was going to be a dual peek, but I suppose he's only on 2 HP. I don't think he's going to be surviving this round. You can see the remaining SMGs, Android, looking to try and peek out. He was someone who actually said, like, on Twitter as well, that he feels like he needs to step up in this tournament. I'd be inclined to agree. I think there's a lot more to come from him. Def, well, he's trying. It's a Brit on Brit, a little bit of British Civil War going on here, but it is just going to be a bit of help along the way from NA.
I like that. Flash it in. Don't take any risks. Make sure you have the kill, especially when you're up against the Deagle. Just take that clean 2-0. compLexity will do exactly that. No casualties in the second round. And I don't think the third is going to be different, Tom. Again, we had big, hard eco that second round with only a couple of pistols here and there. So this third should be about the same. Again, they can invest in some pistols, and we have P250s, but yeah, this is compLexity's chance to really build up the money on the T side, and they're going to have a great job of doing so. Back towards A for 3 players, but Big stacked up here as well.
Yeah, just going to be looking to stay over towards this ace out. Now, the thing is, it's like I always like to see teams saving utility. It really does strengthen the buy you're going to be able to bring in. The only worrying prospect is because of the amount of SMGs that compLexity are actually using, they're just going to be able to have so much money going into not only their sort of like potential bonus round, but more so later after that when they go for the rebuy. Nice shot from Next. They are still doing a little bit of damage here.
Oh my
and
god.
Actually, Next really is doing work with this USP. It's down to just the 2 AKs. Now, neither of these players are going to want to lose anything more. I wonder if it's worth Next actually trying to pick up one of those SMGs, because an extra $600 here really would be welcomed.
Again, Next, you know, one of the players we really would like to see step up today for Big. He was quiet in that game against Optic yesterday. This time, yeah, he's not going to win the round. That's fine. It's still got 3 kills from Big and got rid of all those SMGs. What that's going to do as well, Tom, is that's now meaning compLexity won't run a bonus round. Again, could be good, could be bad, depending on how you want to approach this T side, but they have to upgrade here. They can't play SMGs. So favored with the live odds from LootBet. There's no surprise there after the early lead, but Big do have the buy ahead of themselves. AWP is going to be an option as well, and I hope Big have pulled it out. Catch there, yeah, Smooth is going to be on it. So down in that B bomb site, and Shazam is in a similar situation as well. They actually will be fighting off here.
It's going to be an important start for Smooth, I feel. I think especially on this map, if he gets rolling, he really is going to be the scariest man in the server. I don't think there's any doubt about that, but a slow start for Smooth, and, well, he never really came back from any of the matches we've seen so far, so when things start going wrong, be the case. Godby looking to try and flash him into position. I think he actually gets caught by the T-flash as he goes for the peek, and it doesn't matter. He'll find Shazam anyway. Opening goes the way of Big, and now we have to see if the T's can turn this around. And they're already fairly damaged, at least Yay taking some utility damage along the way.
Yeah, I think that was nade over the boost from middle. Tabson's even finished off Android in the meantime, and things are just getting worse and worse for compLexity in this round. Tabson's not done with 1 kill though, Tom. Look at his position. He's so deep in Squeaky. Stan's going to be ready for it. No more pushing for Big. I've got to be very careful now as compLexity have a chance to burst this A site, and Nex is the only man here. He just has to stay alive. He doesn't need to wide peek this. Can just wait until compLexity close the distance, but there's the peek and there's the frag. Nex has at least found one. The Incendiary should delay the push, but in fact, Big are going to get both kills on the cross instead. First round for Big on the CT side, and with 4 players alive, that's definitely what they would have hoped for.
Yeah, more based off the amount of damage that was actually done with those USPs. They're in a really good position to actually, well, break the economy completely of compLexity. Just look at how much money they already have gone. Like, they've had to pretty much spend absolutely everything in this position. They won't have another AWP unless they just went for an absolute catalyst onto Shazam, which they could have done, but I imagine it'd probably be a slightly better position to just go for some rifles.
Well, at least Big are looking happy on their side of things. Seeing some smiles from Tabson and Smooya. Even Gob. So maybe the hopes are high coming into this game, especially after winning that first rival round. compLexity, if they manage to bounce back here with this force buy, that would be despicable. And after a short tactical pause to work out how they want to approach this round, we do see the buy come through. It's 4 rifles, one of them albeit a Galil and some utility as well. This is actually alright for cash, you know. You can fast burst that B bomb site with this kind of setup. A couple of Molotovs over the top as well. They will bring the bomb outside of B early on, but it's not a full commitment off the back of spawns, which is a bit of a surprise with this buy. They actually will be flashing into B, trying to fake out some kind of attack. Smooya getting ready with a smoke to extinguish any kind of Molotov that would come through into that checker's room, and so he can peek up from this position. We see him do that a lot. I'm sorry, Orpers do that a lot, not him. Tabson almost close to main there, and he's going to back off. That's a safe decision as well. compLexity right now, Android and Shazam are setting up utility over that A bomb site, but with the bomb going into B, it's just a fake from compLexity. Will Big be sold, and will Smooya rotate?
Well, stands in. Nobody's really moved yet, and actually he does manage to get himself the opener. Tabson has to win this duel, and he does, so that's at least something. Now Smooya has everything to do. The push will be coming in, the try to wrap around, but he spins it. Finds the second kill. He's definitely looking better today. And Android now left alone, and Smooya will end all 3. Great hold of the B site, and more importantly, I mentioned it, a great confidence booster for Smooya, because he didn't miss a shot.
Oh, those are some good shots as well. That wasn't just lining up straight kills. Nice flick back onto the third player behind him, and it seemed like Android even would have had that angle for the final kill, but Smooya too quick. And yeah, that will be the round taken by Big, despite the fake, on that force buy. It was actually after Stanisol gets that kill on the A site. It's very worrying to think, okay, Big could even rotate here. They could be sold by this fake. There's lots of utility. There's a frag. It's very easy to get caught up in those situations and get desperate for a rotate when you're a man down. But Big, they hold strong on that B bomb site, and it will be their second round as compLexity are now forced down to Glocks.
Absolutely nothing invested here. So it is just going to be pretty much as hard as an eco gets. The CT side have a good chance to actually build economy here. And they've already got a few stacks of cash starting to enter their pockets at this point in time. So nothing too worrying yet. Of course, it's crucial to get off to a strong start in the map of cash. I feel like it's another one where momentum really does play a big part. Like, you get yourself rolling. It can be quite hard to break a strong CT side setup, especially if you see a double AWP come in. I think that Tabson's definitely able to do that, and it'll be interesting to see if we do get it later once they actually start losing some players. Of course, looking like they're going to try and rush down this AWP, and eventually Smooya's just going to wait patiently for the time when he knows he can hit the shot. And after that, it seems like the T's are just going to back off.
Gob is just setting up Smooya for success here on this B bomb site. Every single time Smooya goes in for this repeat, Gob B's flashing him off the angle. It was the same with that that second kill in the previous round. Just there, Gob flashed so Smooya could repeat, and yeah, he's just being a real nuisance here on this B bomb site. Tizian, he's allowed Stan to sneak by. Again, only Glocked up. You can't allow the T's to have this much information, this much control. Tizian checks it. Stan with his back turn. That's a free kill. Smooya's going to spot these players, and he gets himself a second as well. Falling back to the site, and 2 more left up for compLexity. This should be a done deal. Smooya's just lining them up. 4 frags for him. He's top of the board, top of the server. And this is exactly what you want, Tom, as we've said coming into this game, if you are Big.
Yeah, a very strong start. But now they actually have some resistance coming up against them. That one was just a hard eco from the T side. Focus in the eyes.
Not as blue as yours.
No. Well, it's supposedly mine are green.
You got some beautiful eyes, Tom.
I work hard on them. Yeah.
No AWP here for compLexity. They have got full rifles. Stan actually the top fragger for the team, but this has been just almost a repeated thing.
Tizian.
Yeah.
That's not Tabson. That's not Ye. Smooya's just taken over the server and all of the cameras.
Oh dear.
What's on next?
Oh, there we go. Thanks for that, Tom. You
There we
got
go.
it fixed, yeah.
He's very still.
Shut up.
T-side. Waiting patiently. We do have Tizian down in mid. It wasn't Smooya. I was a little bit confused, I will be honest, but he's actually starting to aggress over towards this B side of the map, starting to take a little bit of control. In the meantime, utility being expended, and Ye's actually losing a lot of health to all of this.
That's actually so sick from Big. They don't throw the typical Molotov on top of the box, they throw it behind it and then nade it. The players have two options: receive a big load of damage from the nade, or fall back into the Molotov and take 40 damage off. Nice shot from Shazam, though, to start things off.
Yeah, everybody's just been caught out in this round. Smooya got stuck with his aggression. Tizian is now trying to save them. He's all alone. He's actually managed to find himself a couple of kills and making this one look slightly possible. They're going to come back around. Tizian, he gets a third, and now Tabson, he actually has a chance. There's a low player, or a couple of low players, really. He has the slight advantage here in terms of HP. Not anything to go by, but as the bomb's being planted, he's going to run into the site. He needed to find Shazam, but a little bit of an off angle. It won't quite be enough. And Ye, celebrating so much, he actually knocks his headset off.
Yeah, that was a blindingly fast round from compLexity, and despite Tizian's best efforts, not enough to drag them forward. But yeah, going back to that utility, right? It's so common to see, these double nades go over the top, Molotov maybe on the boost to stop the push, but Big actually throw a set Molotov, looked completely intended to go right behind the boost. And what that does is, because Molotovs can climb walls, because this game is not broken, that will damage you on the boost. And even if you fall back, you have to run through the entirety of the Molotov. In the meantime, Big are throwing nades over the top to chunk you down, to slow down your movement speed like nades do when they impact you, and then make you die. But lots of damage, no kills, and the round goes the way of the Americans, or North Americans.
We are back in with a buy for Big, and they do bring in that double AWP setup. I mentioned it. Like, will there be the secondary AWP onto Tabson? It's been a bit quiet so far, and he is somewhat alone. It does allow them to go much heavier in towards their middle control, but he is set up and ready to knock him down. Already 2 quick kills for Tabson. He's got the support from Nex as well, and this is looking very bad for compLexity. They've only got 2 players. One of them is barely even alive, Android, with only 8 HP, and Stan stuck in the corner. He's now left all alone to try and do this. It's just not happening.
You want one bit of advice, throw that cross smoke there. compLexity, they had a close smoke from Android outside of that squeaky door, but if you throw the cross smoke in unison, which they had a smoke, Tabson's not going to get 2 kills. You're not going to get shot from highway as well. You're going to be able to make your bomb get to the site and even flash through that close smoke that Android threw. I don't know why compLexity wouldn't decide to throw that smoke, considering, you may argue, oh, they want to take these fights, but that's just a bad fight to take. You've got that position on the site from Tabson, you've got the car, you've got the highway. There's too many angles for compLexity. The whole point of these smokes is you're meant to cordon off certain positions, and that's going to come back to bite them here, Tom, as now they're going to be forcing up the issue. Back in this B bomb side, we've got B close. Smooya's playing passive this time, but not for too much longer. He's going to move in. This smoke only allows compLexity to close the distance without Big having too much information, and they're going to flash on through. Def is close, but B's going to take him down. Smooya has his back covered, and it's just a tag team duo from these two. B with another, and Shazam! He's going to get one tapped. Great round from B.
Yeah, no, the tag team of godB and Smooya is looking, well, magnificent. I have to say, they really are doing well. godB taking a lot of sort of selfless positions to make sure that Smooya's set up. And in this round, obviously, having the rifle a little bit close to all those pistols worked wonderfully. And that B site has been on lock. Like, they really have struggled to get in there. The only round they actually managed to take it is in that sort of, well, 5v2, because Smooya goes so aggressive. He's actually caught in towards the sunroom. So yeah, it didn't work out when that happened, but other than that, it has been absolutely flawless. So it's quite risky, especially considering you should have a good idea that this is more of an eco round. Did Nex just get dinked? I think that was one shot from Stan, and I think he actually managed to dink Nex at the back of That's quite pretty good. He's hit another one. He's pretty damn good with this Glock.
He's pretty damn good generally. Android's even going to find a kill in middle, but he gets mollied out of this box, and Godby just jumps up on top. Styling, Wildin, and Big up to 6 rounds here on the CT side. Damn.
Godby is a
Hoarder.
storing cash. He tried to drop for Tizian, but he was a little bit too quick on the purchase, but it won't matter anyway. No gun hit the floor. Well, we are still going to have that double orb set up, and I think that's going to be very difficult to break, and the one man that they need to step up if they are going to break it, it's going to be Shazam.
He whiffed a few shots yesterday, even posted, sadly, on his birthday, Whiff City, 0-2. That was a shame to see, but hopefully he can come back and fight it for today. Great nades. And no way they're going to push through this after taking that damage. You get exactly what you deserve. Tizian with a double kill. tabseN's not done with this. He's still pushing up, and Android's ready for it. Catches the leg under that brick. And so tabseN, again, that's not the first time he's been caught getting over-aggressive in a man advantage situation. Big maybe need to slow down this pace, because compLexity are ramping it up. They're trying to take this A bomb site.
Next through smokes at the moment. He's going to find one as well. Yay trying to boost back up. He'll be caught. Nexus look very good as well. And now Shazam, well, we said we needed a step up from him. I think this might be a little bit too much to ask. He's got to be wary. Smooya looking to come in on the flank, and he'll miss the shot once again, and it will be another round on the board. I think this is definitely the best performance across the board we've seen from Big, without a doubt. Like, everybody's having their moments.
And again, on a map that we haven't seen them play in officials apart from one time versus Hellraisers, like that's a rarity.
And they lost.
And they lost, yeah. 16-10 though, 10 rounds against Hellraisers on cash, I'd say is good. But yeah, you know, it's not much of a sample size to draw much from. That bomb even got dropped on top of the red crate on the A site as well. Can't remember who was climbing up, but they got, I think it was Yay. Yeah, they got killed and the bomb stayed up top. That's always the worst. The bomb is a really annoying piece of kit when you die and it just goes in a random direction, and it's like, oh, it could be anywhere.
I don't know what it is. It might just be because of how I am as a person, but whenever I read his name in my head, it's just very sarcastic. Yay!
Oh, yay!
Like,
I think you're just sarcastic.
I think it's because I don't think I've ever enthusiastically said the word yay. I've never been actually excited and gone yay. It's always like yay. Like, so that's just how I read it in my head, which doesn't really represent him as a person at all.
I like this setup, though, from Big. They've got tabseN playing bait on the back of the site, and then if we do see compLexity try and chase down this AWP, you have a player boosted up close to main. That's next. Problem is, compLexity are coming in from middle, and Big getting aggressive. They take down Stan. This whole setup could have been countered by a mid-split, but luckily enough, Big get the information that A-main's clear, so they can hold that part of the map while they keep aware of the possibility of mid being open. Now they check into it. tabseN's even found a kill back from the connector, and he's just going to fall back. Nexus flashed in, but flashed to his death, and yay, we've got a frag. compLexity need a whole lot more.
Yeah, nice shot from Android, though. Maybe they're going to get it. Tizian, however, well, he puts that to bed fairly quickly. 8 and 4. It's not looking so good for compLexity, especially because a lot of teams recently have been racking up a lot of T rounds on cash. Yeah. And I think if any team is going to be able to do that, Big would probably be the one that has the number for it. They're a strong in-game leader. I think right now what they need is for Shazam to shout out his own name and turn into someone who's hitting his shots.
Bit of magic, maybe. Let's see if compLexity have anything. Again, they're fearful of this B site, and I don't blame them. This has been annoying, so are they going to continue walking into these triple setups on A, or are they going to try and switch it up? Smooya, he's close to B. He's been killed by Death before, but this time doesn't want to be the same case. Death gets away with a flashbang and stays alive. Tizian's again in this close position in middle. But compLexity, they're set up outside of A right now. They're just holding back for the time being. Shazam, he's been spotted. tabseN's going to find the arm, and that is such an unfortunate way to start off a round. He was not ready for that position. Tizian close in middle. The Molotovs come through. He flashes high, and he can just hide in the smoke. He's even swapped positions, going behind enemy lines. Stan hasn't climbed over the boosted middle, but it doesn't matter because Nex is there anyway, so Tizian should be aware that there are players close by. Will he go pushing? Will he continue? That's the question. Tizian idly sits by, doesn't want to get too aggressive in a man advantage. That Molotov should slow down this push, but compLexity have got that cross smoke that they failed to do just a few rounds prior. So here's the flank from Tizian, perfect timing. Stan's not ready for it. Def going to go for a shot, but Tizian just bails. 5v3, no pressure on Big.
even going to do a little bit of damage to their own teammates along the way. Not the best of rounds already. And tabseN, well, the second he's had this AWP in his hand, he has been impeccable. Def will be there to trade, and Android's actually caught another. They've given themselves a lifeline here, and Def, that was it. That was the shot that could have just turned the round on his head. He's going to be given a second chance, and both players will be missing, but Tizian will not. He's been excellent in this round. And now it's left all onto Android. There's nothing he can do. There were opportunities there for compLexity to take that one, but they couldn't take them.
That's so unfortunate. What happened there is Def pressed Q to switch his weapon or whatever button before he clicked the left mouse one. And you see sometimes pros do that with the AWP because they like to quick switch to enable them to fire off again quickly. And that's going to come back to haunt him. That was a shot that could have won them the round, and instead he gets caught by Tizian flanking A. And again, Tom, this is a conversation we kind of had yesterday with the Optic Big game that we casted. You know, Big being in their own heads, and like, okay, if they're winning, that's great. They're pumping each other up. If they're losing, they're pulling each other down.
Yeah.
Right now, at least from the face cams that I'm seeing, especially Smooya in that previous round, he's just screaming at the top of his lungs every game, every round. Sorry. And I think Big are pumping each other up. I think this is only going to get more and more dominant unless compLexity have something to show on this T side.
Yeah, I think them and Hellraisers are very, very similar in the way that they play. Like it seems like it's not even so much if they drag each other down. It's just when their team is silent, that's what they get in their own heads.
Yeah.
Like when there's no noise, when they're just like, oh yeah, let's do a fist bump every once in a while. It's not enough. And the second you win a round, like, or win a few in a row like it has been, I think it's been 6 in a row for Big, they're just going to get better and better. And while tabseN, look how aggressive he's playing. Like it's just ludicrous. He switched off the AWP. He's decided, I don't need it anymore. I'm going to run into A main with a rifle. And it seems like every little bit of strategy they now have over on the compLexity side is just gone. They were going to go for a burst out of this squeaky spot. They're still going for it, but if you don't have A main control, this is impossible.
This is a crossfire.
This is never going to work. Like this, I don't know why you'd carry on with that. Like that just seems like a lack of adaptation. Like that, if you've lost A main, it can't work. It just can't. You'd have to hope that tabseN ran back, and that's just playing odds that you just can't afford to play.
And he's not going to run back. It's goddamn tabseN. He's been pushing every single round. Think about the amount of times he's been caught in squeaky, and it's such a valuable piece of real estate to hold on to, A main, if you can get that as a CT, because it just gives you even more information that, okay, compLexity, they're either hitting B or they're going for a full squeaky play like they did. And yeah, that's horrible. We had that crossfire from Nex in MBK and tabseN at A main. Even Tizian locking down the highway because Stan was trying to split up, but it was just too predictable. Big knew exactly what was going on. And yeah, this seems like a far more prepared CT side. I'm excited for the T side because Big are looking really good on the first half. And it's like, I want to see what they have up their sleeve.
The only thing I could possibly think is that maybe they thought that both players had gone into A main. Then you can somewhat, because the way that they went, it didn't look like they expected anybody to be behind them. And the smoke was somewhat misleading. Shazam okay.
Oh, yeah, Big do this all the time. They're not going for the kill. They're waiting until after the time. They do this.
Brutal.
Yeah. God-B makes that call a lot.
Look at tabseN on the cam. They're loving it. They're absolutely loving it. And that is brutal.
I love it when teams do it. I love it when teams do that.
But yeah, this is what's weird. Like you see them.
Well, that smoke
they
failed.
panic. Yeah, and the smoke just didn't work. That was just a mess from compLexity.
Yeah.
That was an absolute mess. And well, Shazam goes into the final round of the half with $100.
I mean, I don't want to be rude, but like of every map, right? If you're trying to get smokes on the A site, this is the easiest map, Tom. That squeaky smoke, simple. That A main smoke to get the cross from forklift to the site, very, very easy. You can't be forgetting these. You can't be messing these up. They're costing compLexity rounds. That's 2 rounds now where the A smokes on this site have failed, and therefore they've been mown down. 10-4 here. Last round of the half. compLexity, do they have anything? Because right now, Big is styling. Nice shot from Tizian, just going to peek up and get a quick tap. God-B trying to hold down this B bomb site. Smooya's with him as well. And this could get very, very dicey for Smooya. Def's trying to close the distance, but he's too fast. Pistols out. God-B doesn't realize, but a call's been made. Android's behind enemy lines, and he has found himself a kill, but surely that's going to be it. 11-4 to Big. 4 kills for Smooya, and he is just feeling it right now.
This is just ridiculous. And well, you sort of talk about storylines, like the dream storyline at the major for compLexity. that is looking a world away at the moment. Like this is not the same team. I think it's very, very easy to look at how a team performed at the major and then the next tournament can easily fall off. I think that happens all the time. So hopefully there is going to be more from them, but they need, if they want to stay in this tournament, they need to sort this out very, very quickly indeed, because they are very close to being out of this. Tizian's been excellent, Smooya's been excellent, and there hasn't been a lackluster performer on the whole CT side.
And this is exactly what I want, Tom. We got Godby at the bottom of the scoreboard, 9-6. That's what you want. That's a good thing to see.
Well, yeah, 'cause it's 9-6. It's not even like it's a bad scoreline.
Yeah.
It's just that everybody else is elevated to a point where it's very good.
And it's not like Godby's been even playing bad on that B site. You know, he's been setting up Smooya. He had a couple of nice rounds. He got a 4K as well on a rifle round, I think, or maybe it was an Antico. But either way, yeah, really good. And of course, this game is a bit of a shame in the sense of like both these teams were underdogs. Both these teams made a huge run in London, and everyone hoped they would continue it.
Well,
but
yeah.
only one can here in Kiev.
Yeah, that sort of thing. It's very easy to jump on the hype train, and it's for many people, it's just as easy to step back off again when it doesn't go well. Whereas for the guys themselves, yeah, it's not quite the same. Now, obviously, it's only one tournament. One of these teams has to go home, and at the moment, it is looking like compLexity. But I'm hoping they can step up and at least give us a game, because if they lose this pistol, I think that's GG.
And taking into account, Tom, they got 4 rounds and they won 3-0 with that pistol into conversion. So
they got one
rifle round. Yeah. So they need this pistol. And let's see what they've got for it, because big bit of utility. Tizian and Godby on that as per usual here for the T side. Early setup outside of B. I feel like this may be a late B play with some early nades going over the top of middle, split through vents, for example. We could even have the crisscross smokes. We'll see. compLexity, nothing too special about the setup, about as default as you can get. They've given up checkers and are playing on the B site, but Shazam's just spotting for anything in middle. He knows he has the range advantage over pretty much any pistol that Big buy, unless it's a Deagle, which they don't have. And there we go. Nice shot from Shazam. This could be the start here. Tabson dead as well. Shazam's making it work for compLexity with 2 kills in middle. And now Big desperately trying to pull the things back from a 3v5.
Yeah, this is a very difficult position to come back in. Now, they've got the utility, but what that means is Nex is the only one with any Kevlar. It seems like the CT side have got a nice little spot here over the top of any smokes that they're going to throw, which actually, yeah, he's going to be the one to find it instead. And I think this is the lifeline that compLexity needed. A wonderful pistol round from them. Strong round from Shazam as well, which I think is important. Now, I expected more from him on the T side, but on the CT side, I expect a lot.
He's playing... Oh, no, that's not his score. I was going to say 16-6. I missed that, but no, that's flipped. He's 8-11, or now 10-11 after that. No,
those are included in the 2 kills.
Yeah, just yeah. Either way, this is compLexity back in the game, and again, Big. They are going to be forcing into this one. On the CT side, they saved heavy on both rounds. This time, they're actually putting some cash into it. Godby saving a bit of money, but everyone else, the Eagles, CZs, the full likes of that. compLexity getting aggressive though. They are opening the door, not pushing down it though. They're actually going for the boost instead. Nice nade.
Tabson taking a chunk. You see Godby's actually the one to be on the pistol at the moment, so he's going to give the opportunity to Smooya to try and do some damage with the Deeg, which, to be fair, he's been excellent so far, so I really don't blame them for that. Same for Tizian, although he's gone a little bit heavier into utility, so they do still have some smokes to be thrown. And the T side still got everybody standing at the moment, and Tabson is going to get back on the boost. They always say to try and get back on the horse after you fall off. He does have a Deeg, so pretty much as long as the one shot is hit, he's got no problems.
I like the setup from compLexity. They've gone for the boost of Ye, which we can see on that A-bomb site, and that's allowed for 3 players to play B, and that's the right call to make on an anti-hero like this. It's very common you'll see pistol players just opt for a fast B play, and that's what Big are going for. So compLexity have the manpower to deal with this. If they can't win this round, I don't know what to say, but it's a good start. Def takes 1. It's a trade right back, and Stan plays close to the smoke, but they're going to burst through with no flashbang. That's not going to work. Smooya trades with the Deagle, and he's followed up onto Android. How the hell have Big made this a 2v2?
Yeah, I have no idea how he's managed to spin around and get that kill, but at the same time, they've now managed to get the bomb on towards the site. Smooya will get that down and plant it for the vent position, so Tabson will have a little bit of a look towards it. Unfortunately, it's Smooya, the one with the rifle, and the nades are going to be just whittling away at his HP. I think he's going to be able to avoid that Molotov, though. Now they do have a kit, only a singular flashbang to actually get them back in here. So Tabson, he's got to spot this. He's going to be spamming shots away. Smooya manages to get one. It's left all onto Shazam. He finds the first, but still Tabson is standing, and he has vision on towards that bomb. Shazam's managed to retrieve himself the kit. Peak going to be coming out, but it's not being baited. Tabson knows he's not on the defusal at all, and he finds the headshot anyway. What a fantastic round from Big.
This is what I like to see from Big. It's such a shame from compLexity, but you know, all the stars are aligning. Everyone's hitting their shots. Everyone's looking happy.
I don't know how Smooya managed to turn around and get that headshot.
No.
On Stan. Like, I hope we get the replay of that. He's
just
just
and then
spamming.
he does that.
Yeah, he's just spamming. Like, Android was low, so that one I could understand, but just the way he just spams a headshot into him, flicks back and kills the other guy. Like,
and Big didn't even have a flash through that smoke. Like, that's one critique I would have of that entire round, and still they pick it up without a problem. That's such an important trade, because otherwise Stan gets both kills. He probably kills the third player. I think it was Tabson in the checkers as well. And there we go, compLexity win that round. But I mean, that's something you can't even account for of your compLexity. A 6 shot from Smooya turns it on its head. And they win the Force by a pistol round for compLexity. Will not bring them back into this game, Tom. They're going to have to be either saving and giving maybe 13, 14 rounds to Big, or forcing till this game is done.
yeah, it's almost worse than just losing the pistol.
Yeah.
Because it gets you closer to the loss.
Especially
Now,
at this scoreline.
It's sort of like they have lost the pistol and they go in with a similar sort of force buy. If anything, they've got a little bit extra. Def has himself a scout and armor, but it's not anything to really be happy about. It's a horrible scenario for them, and they've got to work very hard to get themselves back into this one now. They lose this round, and you kind of see them maybe forcing it all the way to the end. They'll have themselves the chance of Byron. Tizian's actually going to be tagged relatively low. Yay, trying to do work with this Dirty Deeg. You know, support from Android, and well, already Tabson is going to change that.
Yeah, and again, 4-man setup on this A site. If you include Stan towards middle, who's just running back between Highway and A. So this is again another heavy setup from compLexity on the right side of the map, but getting all the wrong fights. God B winning another duel. Like that, bigger on a 5v3. These nades have done a significant bit of damage, but they haven't got the kills. Shazam waits. Stan on top of the boost as well up here on Heaven, but he's going to fall off. That did not look purpose at all. It's going to make a noise. No surprise. Tizian peeks out and takes that kill. Big now, 5v2. This is looking undoable for compLexity. There's the late mid split. That's infuriating. Shazam's going to get overrun, and it's 13 rounds with not a single death from Big.
Yeah, they're absolutely flawless as well. Oh, I quite like the compLexity logo up there. It fits nicely. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be seeing it again throughout this tournament because, well, yeah, that was the perfect time for those odds to come up because I really couldn't agree more. You won't get much money if you're betting on Big at this point, but at the same time, I would say it's fairly safe unless they really do, well, just throw this one away. And they're looking so confident. It's something we mentioned already. compLexity are going to take the hit and just try and do a little bit of damage at least, but they didn't manage anything with the pistols. They are stacking into middle, though. I always like this stack. I think it actually can be quite an effective way to get quite a bit of damage because you know the players with rifles are going to want to try and challenge this. Obviously, the bomb is going the other way, but this is more about damage. They're not expecting to win the round here. Tabson, though, is just looking very, very confident, and even though Shazam hits him with a dink, he will survive. 14 and 5. This is it.
The final chance for compLexity yet. They've only got this buy to work with, Tom, and even then, it's not that good. They're going to have about 4.3k each-ish, with a little bit more, actually, from kill money as well from that previous round. So, yeah, this is a rifle, a bit of utility, body armor, a kit maybe on 1 or 2 players, and desperation. As Big, they only need a couple more rounds to close out this game and keep themselves in the tournament. Not even a kit from compLexity, only smokes and flashbangs. They've gone for full rifles, which if anything is a surprise to me in this round. You know, to not pull up maybe a couple of close mid players or something to try and play shotguns or SMGs, get in the face of Big, get aggressive. Smooya's run boosted over to try and take a different angle just in case of compLexity being saving for that AWP. But alas, Shazam will not be on that. He's just playing back in the middle position. Ye's going to be close as well. This is actually quite a good crossfire from compLexity because Shazam's going to take the attention away from anyone in middle. And then as soon as Big spot him, Ye can peek out wide from that close position and maybe get a frag. Big haven't mollied him. They mollied close instead. So, yeah, this position is still very viable. The problem is, do Big even go towards middle, or do they just send a late mid split in? Because right now they're set up outside of A.
Well, they got 45 seconds, so whatever they're going to do, they don't have that much time to do it anymore. We are going to see the smokes coming over into middle. Shazam holding on the angle. There is going to be the Molotov looking to try and clear out his position, and while that's all the information that the Ts need. The thing is, though, you normally do this much earlier. There's only 30 seconds left, so whatever they're doing, it has to be fast, and Shazam and Stan tag team this T side as they do now just look to try and dry push this in towards the A side. This has not gone well for Big, and it's looking like the CT side will at least get themselves one. A bit of damage being attempted by Smooya, and eventually he'll connect a shot, which will at least mean that one man goes down.
What's up with not throwing that cross smoke on the A side today? That seems to be both teams' T side. We don't see it there from Big, and of course they just get torn apart by that flash up from Highway and then the repeat from the player on the site. It may have been to do with the fact that Big were trying to put pressure on middle and therefore not make it look like an A play, but yeah, as you said, 30 seconds left. It was very obvious. compLexity were ready for it, and that's so good for them now because yes, okay, they may have been reset after winning the CT pistol, but now we actually have an upgrade. Now we have Shazam on the AWP, full utility, full kits. This is great for compLexity. This is their opportunity to try and pull things back. Again, it's just such a long road, Tom. It's so hard to believe when you're 14-6 down. And you have no idea what Big's going to be putting into this game as well. Like, the amount of strategy that Big could have that hasn't been seen yet because they don't play this map is crazy. And I don't think Big want to show anything here. Why would you? It's 14-6. This game's not close. Run defaults. Play just fast executes and try and rely on your individual performance. It's clearly shining through on the likes of Smooya, Tabs, and Tizian. Back towards A, it seems, and Shazam, will he catch the timing? He does. Nice repeat. Smooya's down. Big. They need to start throwing utility if they want to commit off the back of this. The problem is there are 4 players here, and Shazam, sorry, Dev, he's going to get aggressive. Instead, 2 frags from him. Shazam lining up a second in the meantime, and that is how you get in the face of your opponents.
I really like that.
Yeah.
I like that they didn't just decide to stay static. They didn't allow Big to execute onto them, and after finding themselves that early pick, they then just running back in towards A main to just not allow Big to set up. I think that's a pretty good counter for a team who is very well pracked. Just don't allow them to do what they want to do. And so the CTs, they are in with a chance now. It's a long way back still. They got to win 7 rounds in a row just to even be level pegging. And I think the second Big get to map point, that could be the end of it. So I think it really does need to be a hot streak. Quick push coming out from the T side, though. They really want to try and end this as soon as possible, but the CT side have a strong hold, mainly in the form of Ye, who gets himself a quick double. And while it's going to be in middle, Smooya attempting to do some damage, but instead Ye gets the shot.
The compLexity players starting to warm up maybe here on the CT side. Shazam hitting his shots. Ye, nice 3K. Death in the previous round. And again, Ye, he's been struggling this game as well alongside some of the members of compLexity, so would be nice to see him step up. Again, one of the players that we saw do so well at the major. One of the reasons for compLexity's success there. 14-8. This game is far from over. That's a missed smoke. That's a big error. Shazam's teammate actually blocks him while he's jumping in the air, and it knocks his trajectory off. Biggie going in towards this B bomb site here, and Shazam doesn't have the AWP set up. He's still in middle. So compLexity may have a bit of a problem there. Stan and Android are going to be the B players for this round.
Yeah, Stan not having the same stand-up performance we saw yesterday. Well, Android, he just hasn't had a good performance throughout the tournament, if I'm being honest. I think he knows it as well as I do. Either way, we are going to have some utility just to slow down any push that's wanted. You could see Smooya, you could see the temptation to go for something there, but instead they used the nade stack. It takes out Stan. He doesn't even get to see anyone. And that is such a fantastic use of utility.
Oh, look at this rotate from Big. They're forcing another player to go towards B from compLexity. So now it's gone to a 2-man B setup in a 4v5. And that's left only Ye on the A bomb site. Currently, alongside Android at the bottom of the board, And he's going to be alone if Big go for this fast execute. They luckily, for compLexity, have slowed things down, and that's given compLexity time to realize and rotate players off. So now we actually do have a fair amount of control towards A. Big don't even seem sure of where they want to go, and they've got 29 seconds left, so they need to make the decision right now. The utility reigning over middle, but Def in the meantime is pushed up on B, and this has allowed 3 players on the A site from compLexity. Missed shot from Def, but it's not the end of the world because we still have this heavy setup on A. Tizian's found the entry in the meantime, but there's only 10 seconds left.
Yeah, no, Shazam wanted to try and catch somebody there, but just wasn't able to. The bomb will be going down, the clock won't matter anymore, and it's just taps and ripping off heads. Android and Shazam are gone. Def, the only one left, he just about manages to get away with that one and almost finds Tizian, who was already low. However, that's not possible, and Def will be put down, in fact, by the low man himself. 15-8. We do get a buy. They could actually go for double orbs, throw caution to the wind, try and just bring it back from a long way, but that was impressive from Big.
The thing that confused me so much about that round from compLexity, I'd love to watch it back, is because they had Def pushed up on B, but they still weren't committed to the A bomb site. They were playing very passively, like almost for retake. When you're a man down, you can't play for retake on that A bomb site. You can't give Big the site, right? You've got to play within it. And we still had 2 players up on car for the side of compLexity. Obviously, one of them being Def fully rotating, but either way, this is a bit of a faster approach from Big in this round, looking to close this out before compLexity get the ball rolling, but they've got the guns in. 2 AWPs here for the CT side. Android's close. Oh, he might spot someone. The smoke just to lose their position, and Smooya's actually dropped his teammate in the meantime, but they don't know Android is here.
Yeah, he has to make a massive play, and yeah, he's made a good distraction. In fact, yeah, he's doing much more than a distraction. He's found 2 kills and given them an advantage. It doesn't last long, though, as Godby takes 1, and they spot out Android. Def, he's not known for his clutches. He's not known for his hero plays, and he needs to do it here. They've already found out where he is. Molotov's going to hold him back. He burns to death. Cooks right at the end. And Big, well, they've got their dinner done. It is the win coming out for Big. They will survive for now.
For now, that is the key of it, right? Again, Big, high expectations coming into this event, but they are still only 1 and 2. They saved themselves from being eliminated in a fantastic manner, but they've got a long way to the playoffs, Tom. In fact, in compLexity, they won't even see the playoffs. They are down and out, 0-3, eliminated from StarSeries I-League Season 6. That is the first team to go.
Yeah, top 8 major to first team out. It does show that sometimes Swiss can be kind, and other times it can bite you. And well, this time they have certainly been bitten. At the same time, well, the Big, they are not out of the woods just yet. They've managed to win 1 match. They still need to win 2 more, which is still not going to be easy. There's some tough teams in there, and they've already lost to some that they, well, at least should have put up a decent fight against.
Well, not even only just that, but they weren't the only team to get upset, right? If you can say that against maybe Fractors, for example, or you know, Optic, that's more up in the air. But in terms of upsets, we've had so many this event that, you know, for Big to actually get to the playoffs, it's very likely that they could get unlucky and get some seriously hard matchups. You know, Mouse Sports, Hellraisers, for example. These teams are still here. No one's gone through to the playoffs yet. No one is safe here, Tom, at StarSeries. So Big are definitely not out of the woods just yet.
Yeah, no, I think the sort of Hellraisers possibility is definitely in there if they start fighting back. Because that's the thing. It's too difficult to say who's going to be able to like try and fight back from that sort of position. Either way, we are going to have ourselves a little interview, and it is over to Frank.
I'm here with Smooya, who seems more concerned with how his hair looks than the result of that last match. What a past 3 days it's been for you, Owen. How did you get your head back into this game?
I honestly don't know. Like, we were feeling really confident coming against compLexity because when we lost to them twice at the major, we were like, not to like trash talk, but we were like, they can't be as good as they seem because they felt like the best team in the world, you know. We're like, there's no way they're unbeatable. So we felt really confident because now we have demos to watch on them, whereas before they were really prepared. And the last few days, man, I don't want to talk about the last few days. It's been really rough. The game against, who did we play yesterday? Optic? 16-2, man. I don't know. But now, like, everyone seems more calm, more relaxed, and now we're 1-2 like we were at the major, and we've made it to playoffs there, so we just feel like we're at the major again.
How did you start relaxing, though? Because everyone knows what you're like on Twitter, Smooya. Esports is trash, apparently. Do you still feel that way?
Very strongly. But it's not to do with, like, the gaming side. It's to do with, like, the behind-the-scenes side. And I'm not going to talk about it, but...
Okay, well, we don't have to talk about that. But I do want to talk about what it's like when you're in-game on voice comms. What's Godby like as an IGL for you?
is a beautiful, strong Turkish German male. Keeps me calm in strong situations. Like during this game, I was talking a lot of smack when I was doing well, and he's like, "Dude, stay calm. We haven't won yet." Because I just wanted to carry on giving it, and like my UK side was coming out. But yeah, he just keeps me calm all the time. Gives great calls, and he just does so much like preparation. That's the thing we didn't do for the last 2 games. Like, it's the same thing at the major. Like, we thought we were going to beat the people we played, and we didn't prepare, and then we lost. Whereas this game, we were like, we kind of have to prepare. So we kind of knew most things they were going to do and, like, how they play and stuff like that. So that helped a lot. And, yeah, he just keeps me prepared and makes sure that everyone knows what they're doing. Yeah.
Well, you've got 2 more games to win before you reach that top 8. You can't lose a single one of them. Can you do it, Owen?
We'll see.
We'll see indeed. I'm going to let you celebrate with your team. I'm expecting some nice tweets. Be nice about compLexity, all right? Go say thank you to your IGL. Now, coming up after this breakdown on the deaths we've got coming your way very shortly, we have got Hellraisers versus Sprout. The loser will be leaving Kiev. So let us know who you think is going to win and still have a chance of making that top 8 in Twitch chat right now. The teams on screen, use their name in Twitch chat to say who you are supporting. But let's head back to the desk to talk through compLexity versus Big.
Yes, the big Omega LOL, which is compLexity, have faltered to the likes of Big. 16-8 over there on Cash, and in fact, the last guy was burnt alive. And I believe that was Android, no?
At least they got Inferno in the end.
Yeah, it's true. They did get Inferno out of that.
They do
Either
like
way,
that.
welcome back to the analyst desk. I do have Thorn, I do have Pimp here. And, you know, we were going to talk about this game, and perhaps we will at some point. We can talk about, like, monstrous CT sides. But I actually think we should just really kick this conversation off with the hindsight being that we know Smooya has tweeted,
Here we go. What's he
esports is
tweeting?
trash.
Esports is trash.
Sure
Wait,
thing.
oh, I'm getting word here. Oh, Smooya apparently mistook himself for esports. It's an easy mistake. I've sometimes thought I have esports.
Yeah.
He was actually pretty good in that game, to be fair. That's how banter actually works, Smooya. You make a joke, and then you don't really mean it, and then you continue on with your life as a real human. So try all those parts.
And back to
You've
you in
got
the
number
studio.
1. Yes,
No, I'm
exactly.
kidding. What do you got, Jacob? What is your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
What a horrible tweet that is. I don't know what to make of it, Trace.
It is pretty
It's
horrible.
too much. You know what? He's crossed the line on his Twitter. I think you should be more professional. and
from
also,
you.
don't be
All right, well,
hypocritical.
hold on. Let's not get ahead of
Just don't be
ourselves here.
hypocritical either. Just stick to your method.
not
Well, the
get-
thing is, actually, as you see from the highlights, he had a pretty good game here. Almost everyone on Big did, to be honest. Like, this is why I was saying, when you looked at the map win record,
Yeah.
unless you know from what they're like in practice, you would think, oh, maybe they've got caught out here. There's a reason that they haven't played, and that's because people are banning this map against them. I mean, I remember seeing them play this against G2 back in Cologne, and they were pretty legit on this map, actually. They definitely knew what they were doing. Obviously, compLexity, I can't say as much.
No, that was a horrible showing for them. I mean, they never really got into the game. Here at 4-4, that was their chance to actually make a amend for it, but they just fell short, and it got B, you know, getting a 4K right here, staying alive for forever. It was just a game where compLexity didn't hit their shots, they didn't hit the game, and I think we got to see, dare I say it, the real compLexity now. I think what we saw at the major was absolutely their peak. They're never going to get that good again, or maybe if they are, then that's the peak, right? That's where they're at right now. Going out 0-3 in a tournament like SLTV is just not going to be good enough for them at all.
So the reality is this, and now they have this one in their pocket, is that they're saving strats for the next major.
I think.
Right. Yes. Well, the sad thing is, joke is they're obviously going to be in the next major because of the
Yeah.
Legends spot. So yeah, as much as it sounds like a joke in a weird sense, it's almost possible in this
It-
world.
It's almost plausible, but yes, the numbers don't lie, and it does look like compLexity grabbed the first 3 rounds, dropped 3, and then grabbed that 4th in the first half, and that's about all she wrote for the first half. The T side didn't really come together. They were able to grab the first series of rounds, but couldn't really convert thereafter.
I mean, it may be a little bit too hard saying that they're just a fluke by now, right? There could be other factors playing into it, such as after the major, they probably took some time off. It was a rough period. They were there for 3 weeks straight. So it is the first event after the major, so they still have a chance of getting back here, but it is a worrying sign to see them go 0-3. No matter how little you practice, or no matter how little you're actually preparing for a tournament like this, if you're a legit top team, you're going to be able to at least get one best of 1 win, especially considering this is the format that you want, that you also predicted and played well at during the major.
And this alone tells the story of why compLexity was so underwhelming. Because when they made the playoffs, I noticed that like the stars had crazy stats. You look at this instead, and you're seeing, look, Shazam's the best player on the team. Before it was Android was having 6 stats.
Yep.
So like those players, they're young players. They could still yet develop. They could maybe get some consistency. But you can't have a game where, look, Android has 9 kills, has 12 kills. It's not going to happen, especially because unlike, I mean, we said at the beginning, in theory, the firepower, if they played like they did at the major, would be on compLexity's side. Big had it all here. Everyone was getting kills when they came to their site on CT side.
Definitely. When you have Stanislav being your best player, best rated player throughout the tournament, your in-game leader, then you know you have your star players not showing up. And that was the main focus for compLexity throughout this tournament. They just did not show up at all, neither as a team, but neither did the individuals that needed to carry this through.
There's a rough showing here. A rough day and a rough tournament for compLexity, who have now been eliminated on the back of an 0-3 showing here in Kiev. I don't really.
I'm not Russian, so I don't know, mate.
Jesus Christ. Yes, it's true. They are going home, and Big do stay alive just by the hair on their chinny chin chin. The hair on Gob's chinny chin chin there. What can they hope to accomplish here now that they've already started with their backs against the wall?
I mean, Big is a favorite to go through the playoff for me still.
They can still get to the playoffs, for
Definitely.
sure.
I think it's a team that has a lot of qualities, and as we highlighted, they have the players needed to go there. Tapson is by far one of the best players at the entire tournament, so he should be able, if he can find his form, to be able to be a driving force behind it. Smooya had a good game again today as well, so that's a good thing that he choked that off, that he had a bad game the first and the second day. So if they can get the firing on all cylinders, then Big is still one of those teams that can potentially beat anyone, especially in a best-of-3 series.
Yes. Yeah, the key for me is, like he's saying here, the good thing about this format is it can also be very forgiving. There's a way back into the tournament, and you think of some of the teams they're going to play, logically, they're probably only going to run into someone really tough in the last game. Like, if they climb all the way back to then, and even then, the teams in this tournament, unless they get Mouse Sports or NRG, they're probably favored over most of them. So the good thing for me is, since they have a tactical base, they have a good practice system, they have decent maps, I actually feel like if they can get to the best-of-3s, and there isn't like an old ghost ship with a creaky door opening up and the ghosts of Mouse Spots coming out going, Gob, come back. As long as that doesn't happen, I actually do think if they get to the playoffs, I hope they do make the playoffs because they actually are a best-of-3 team. Like, I want to see them in series play, you know.
Definitely.
It's just fun to make the noise with the chair. I don't know why. It's so
you're having fun, huh, Trace?
Almost as entertaining as now compLexity out, our first team eliminated here at the StarSeries Season 6. And of course, that does give us just a little bit of a wrap up there. Big do move on, and we do have some more best-of-1s here for the Swiss system. Of course, it never fails to deliver, and these aren't best-of-3s, so each match is even more close when it comes down to the wire. We do have another matchup coming your way. It's going to be the likes of Hellraisers and Sprout, so make sure you're here when the seeds start to grow. We'll be back after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Loot Bet. With Hellcase multi-cases, you're no longer restricted by random case opening mechanisms. Now, you are able to pick any of the cells containing skins and actually determine what you win. Use the promo code and dive right in.
I'm a soldier, I'm a fighter. You can't burn me, I'm the igniter. Gonna be a legend, gonna take it all. Watch me crush it like a wrecking